Rewriting football history. South Korea beats Ecuador in the semi-final of the Under-20 World Cup, booking the nation a place in the final for the first time ever. Their opponents for Saturday's final, Ukraine. Best of buddies again. US President Donald Trump says he received a beautiful letter from North Korea's Kim Jong-un. This, as Trump's national security advisor says, a possible third summit between Trump and Kim is in Pyongyang's hands. Plus, President Moon Jae-in is in Norway as he continues his tour of Northern Europe. The highlight of his trip to Oslo, a speech on forging lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula. We start with footballing history being made in Poland. South Korea's football stars of the future have done the nation proud, qualifying for the final of the Under-20 World Cup. It's the first time South Korea has ever made it so far in the tournament, and the achievement could bode well for the future of South Korean football. Our Lee Seung-jae has more on the memorable night.
The future of South Korean football looks brighter than ever as the South Korean U-20 squad, led by manager Chung Jung-young, defeated Ecuador 1-0 in the semi-final on Tuesday evening at the Arena Lublin. The lone goal came in the 38th minute with another precision pass by Lee Gang-in, allowing Chejun to find space and slot in a brilliant close-range goal for what would be ultimately the winning goal. However, with so many late goals throughout this year's tournament, this match was no different. With 4 minutes added on for injury time, South Korea breathed a sigh of relief after a goal by Ecuador was disallowed for offside. And with just seconds left on the clock, a super save by South Korean goalkeeper Lee Kwang-yeon preserved the slim lead, booking the squad's ticket in their first ever U-20 final. The trip to the final is also the first ever in history for men's football in any FIFA tournament. Ukraine will be their opponents in Saturday's final. The Eastern European side brushed aside Italy in their semi-final earlier in the day. The final kicks off at Stadion Uchi in Lodz on Saturday 6 p.m. local time, which is 1 a.m. Sunday, Korea Standard Time. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
There are going to be a lot of sore heads, I think, in Korea on Sunday morning, but congratulations to the team, and hopefully they can bring home the Under-20 World Cup. Now, in other news, the Bank of Korea governor has hinted at a possible easing of its monetary policy. In a speech commemorating the central bank's 69th anniversary on Wednesday, Lee Ju-yeol said domestic and external uncertainty is growing sharply, citing the escalating US-China trade spat and the sluggish semiconductor industry, adding that appropriate monetary policy measures may be needed, alluding to a possible rate cut. Inflation remains low at around 0.5%, far below the bank's target of 2%. The Bank of Korea kept its base rate unchanged at 1.75% last month. Now, staying with economic news, and South Korea's overall job situation seems to be improving, with the number of newly employed people surpassing the 200,000 mark again. According to Statistics Korea on Wednesday, the total number of employed in May was around 27.3 million. That's up 259,000 on year. This was mainly due to more jobs in the health and social working sectors. However, the number of jobs created in the manufacturing sector dropped yet again. It has been falling every month since April of last year. The overall unemployment rate remained the same at 4%. Now, amid stalled denuclearization talks between the US and North Korea following the failure of the second summit between the two countries, that happening in Hanoi back in February, US President Donald Trump revealed on Tuesday that he has received yet another letter from the North Korean leader, Kim Hyo-sun, with the details.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he received a, quote, beautiful letter from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
And I just received a beautiful letter from Kim Jong-un, and I think the relationship is very well, but I appreciated the letter.
This is the first time Trump has revealed a letter from Kim since the Hanoi summit ended prematurely with no deal in late February. Speaking to reporters at the White House on Tuesday, President Trump held a letter but said he couldn't reveal any of the content. He also spoke highly of Kim's leadership, adding the North has great potential considering its location and people. Explaining there is a stark difference between now and when he first became president, Trump again stressed that North Korea hasn't conducted any nuclear or major missile tests in more than a year and a half.
We have a very good relationship together. Now I can confirm it because of the letter I got yesterday. And I think that something will happen that's going to be very positive.
He also commented on this week's Wall Street Journal report that said Kim's half-brother Kim Jong-un, who was killed at Kuala Lumpur International Airport in 2017, was a source for the CIA. Trump insisted such a thing would not happen while he's in office. Meanwhile, speaking at a business forum hosted by the Wall Street Journal on Tuesday, Trump's national security advisor John Bolton mentioned that a potential third Trump-Kim summit is in Pyongyang's hands. Despite the letter from Kim Jong-un, it remains to be seen whether Pyongyang and Washington can rebuild momentum in stalled nuclear talks, a year since the leaders first met in Singapore for their first ever summit. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
Now, US President Donald Trump has stressed that he will not complete a trade deal with China unless Beijing returns to the terms negotiated earlier in the year. Speaking to reporters at the White House on Tuesday, Trump explained it's him that's holding up the deal. His comments come a day after he threatened to further raise tariffs on Chinese goods if Chinese President Xi Jinping doesn't sit down with him for talks during the G20 summit in Osaka later this month. Beijing's foreign ministry said the country is open to continue trade talks with Washington, but added that it's not afraid to fight a trade war. However, it remains silent on a possible meeting between Presidents Xi and Trump in Japan. Now, President Moon Jae-in has touched down in Norway on the second leg of his three-nation trip to Northern Europe. On his schedule Wednesday, a speech at the Oslo Forum on Peace. Now, given the forum's theme and his efforts to bring lasting peace to the Korean Peninsula, many are curious to hear what he might have to say about North Korea, especially as it's 1 year to the day since the first North Korea-US summit. Shin Se-min files this report from Oslo.
Part 2 of President Moon Jae-in's week-long trip to Northern Europe sees the South Korean leader in Norway for his second straight state visit. Visiting the Scandinavian country in time for the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties between South Korea and Norway, President Moon's two-day itinerary is packed with summit meetings and sit-downs with parliamentary chiefs. However, garnering the most attention is his scheduled speech at a forum at the University of Oslo on the topic of the Korean peace process. The event is taking place in conjunction with Oslo Forum's Peace Broker Conference. Adding another layer of symbolism, President Moon will deliver his speech at a place where late former President Kim Dae-jung was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his deeds for democracy and his administration's reconciliation with Pyongyang. The speech comes a matter of days after President Moon hinted that more summits between the Koreas and between the North and the United States could be on the horizon.
남북 간 또 북미 간 대화의 계속을 위한 그 대화가 이루어지고 있기 때문에 조만간 남북 간 그리고 또 북미 간 대화가 재개될 수 있으리라고 믿습니다.
And prior to arriving in Norway, President Moon also highlighted his confidence that the Korean peace process will succeed. President Moon added he will concentrate all his energy to make it happen. With the centerpiece of his trip here in Norway being the speech at the Oslo Forum, the anticipation is brewing that the South Korean leader may use the opportunity to reiterate his drive for peace on the Korean Peninsula to mark the 1-year anniversary of the first ever summit meeting between the leaders of North Korea and the U.S. Shin Se-min, Arirang News, Oslo.
Now we are going to turn to the latest on the tour boat that sank into the murky depths of the Danube River in Budapest late last month, taking the lives of dozens of people, including many South Koreans. The vessel was finally lifted out of the water on Tuesday, and authorities are now preparing to hold an in-depth and first-hand investigation into the deadly incident. Kim Jong-un reports.
Nearly 2 weeks after the tragedy occurred on the Danube River, the sunken Hableany tour boat was finally raised above the water's surface on Tuesday. During the 6-hour-long salvage operation, Hungarian authorities were able to retrieve 4 more bodies of South Korean passengers, including a child, bringing the death toll to 24, with 4 people still missing. Security was tight in the area, but citizens gathered to watch the salvage process from afar, most of them feeling overwhelmed by sadness.
It is the first time after the tragic event I've seen in the TV and read in the newspapers, and I was also on such kind of ships, tourist ships, and it is very upset to think that could happen also with us, such tragic events.
After the boat was raised, it was taken to Chapel, an industrial port in South Budapest, for a detailed investigation. Police in Hungary say they plan to look deeply into the cause of the incident, together with ship experts and engineers.
The inspection will continue with technical, nautical, and shipping experts and in the presence of the prosecutor. The aim of the inspection is to verify all those deductions that will clarify the reasons and causes of the accident.
Police also revealed they carried out another search inside the Viking Sigyn, the cruise ship that hit the tourist boat, to obtain additional evidence. The Ukrainian captain of the ship has been arrested on suspicion of reckless misconduct in waterborne traffic, leading to mass casualties. His lawyers claim he did nothing wrong. In South Korea, Seoul's foreign ministry announced Tuesday that the government will continue to work hard until all the bodies are recovered, adding that it's cooperating with the Justice Ministry and related departments on how to deal with the aftermath of the tragedy. Kim Jong-un, Arirang News.
Now, Hong Kong's chief executive, Carrie Lam, is refusing to back down on a new extradition bill that would allow suspects to be sent to Taiwan, Macau, and even mainland China for trial. And this has sparked a fresh wave of protests in Hong Kong. For more on this and other news from around the world, let's turn to our Hong Yu. So the legislation is due for a second round of debate today. How are protesters handling this fact?
Well, Mark, not even thunderstorms in Hong Kong could stop hundreds of people protesting against a proposed extradition bill in front of the Legislative Council, the place where the law is due for a second round of debate on Wednesday. Police tightened security over the area, conducting random ID checks. Hong Kong faces a citywide shutdown on Wednesday as the city's bus labor union plans to drive extra slowly in protest, and thousands of teachers will also participate.
Enough, and we believe that maybe we should use something less violent but to more effective ways. For example, like we are not going to school, or some of the shops are closed down for one day to show their stance and show how important it is for the chief executive to care and think twice before letting the bill to be passed.
Now you can see the government even ignore 1 million people's opinions, so it's quite difficult to estimate what will happen later. But at the time being, honestly, I'm quite disappointed, and I don't think they will listen to the people and they will still go ahead. But I think they will pay for it.
Despite the outpouring of opposition that stems from the fear the amendments would allow Chinese authorities to take people for political reasons and undermine Hong Kong's semi-autonomous legal system, the extradition law is expected to pass. This is because the city's 70-seat Legislative Council is controlled by a pro-Beijing majority. It normally takes 3 rounds of debates to pass a bill, but they could raise the stake by carrying out the third one on the same day. Lam told reporters on Monday that the new bill will help Hong Kong uphold justice and that human rights on the island will continue to be protected. The two most competitive candidates in the 2020 U.S. presidential election, President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden, are to face each other Tuesday in dueling Iowa events. Iowa is a swing state that voted for Obama in the 2008 and 2012 presidential elections, but voted for Trump in 2016. Trump and Biden have traded verbal barbs ahead of their long-distance face-off in Iowa. President Trump blasted Biden, telling reporters that he thinks Biden is the weakest mentally, adding he likes running against people who are mentally weak. President Trump's comments came after Biden delivered an address in the Hawkeye state calling Trump an existential threat to the United States. Police in Russia have abruptly dropped drug charges against journalist Ivan Golunov, a rare about term by authorities in the face of sharp opposition from his supporters. The 36-year-old is well known for exposing corruption by officials in Moscow and was detained last Thursday on drug dealing charges, an allegation he strongly denied. Russia's interior minister said Tuesday that the criminal case against him was dropped due to a lack of evidence of any wrongdoing on his part. Golunov walked out of a police station in central Moscow on Tuesday, met by hundreds of journalists who applauded him.
Now, arts performances have been colouring South Korea's resort island of Jeju since the beginning of the week as the nation aims to connect with other countries around the world in the field of performing arts. Kan Hyung-woo files this report from Jeju.
Welcome to the 2019 Jeju Hevich Arts Festival, where everyone is more than welcome to enjoy some of South Korea's finest and most creative performances. From Tuesday to Wednesday, 35 performance organizations are demonstrating the highlights of their shows, including concerts, dances, and musicals, to promote themselves to the participants of the arts festival.
I think performers should continue to try to sell their shows and regard this arts festival as an opportunity to build networks with theaters and stage owners. So it's about putting forward efforts to keep communicating with them to make sure your performance gets sold. We are simply providing the platform to do so.
Aside from the performances, the Jeju Hevich Arts Festival has prepared forums and conferences for domestic and overseas art experts to exchange their know-how and expand their networks.
There aren't a lot of markets in the world that have this kind of impact or this kind of the number of people that gather here. So from that point of view, I've met people from China, from obviously people from Korea, from Canada, from the UK. So it's a really important networking event for me.
Divided into 5 sessions that cover international cooperation, arts education, exhibition management, and stage technology, the forums are being held from Tuesday to Wednesday with some 2,000 participants from 10 countries. Kan Arirang News, Jeju.
Now, it is time for our Life and Info segment where we focus on information that should be useful for your everyday life, wherever in the world you are watching us. I'm happy to say we have our business correspondent Kim Hae-sung in the studio today to discuss the rise of mini-sized products in South Korea. Hae-sung, thanks for joining us. Tell us more about these mini-sized products.
Yes, Mark, across the whole retail industry, we're seeing this rapid rise in mini-sized products. So as the name suggests, they refer to products that are smaller than the regular sized goods that we're used to, ranging from products like home appliances to food and drinks. So first, snacks. Let's take a look at a footage. So that's chocolate pie. It's 198 grams, half the size of a usual one that weighs 384 grams, basically the size of a macaroon. Coming in packs of 12, it's around half the price of the original version.
We tried different flavors like melon and peanut after our success using green tea and banana as new flavors. But they didn't work. After conducting surveys, we found that consumers snack at their office or at school and want bite-sized snacks, which are easier to eat and leave no crumbs. Since releasing these small-sized ones, we made over $5 billion in the last 5 months. We also got a lot of feedback that they're cute and easy to eat.
And it's not just Lotte, Orion, Hete, and other big Korean snack companies have all released smaller, bite-sized versions of their most popular snacks. The industry plans to come up with more such snacks, but they did add it's not that easy given that they need to build brand new factory lines to make them, which requires huge amounts of money, like billions of dollars. So it may take a while before we see a whole new bunch of mini-sized snacks.
Yeah, they certainly look cute. They're easy to eat and they're cheaper. You don't have to buy the big ones. I'm curious about the mini-sized drinks you can purchase these days. Tell us more about them.
Yeah, they're a mini-sized beer. They've been released for about a year, so they're sized at 125 milliliters or like 250 milliliters, and the sales have gone up so rapidly, like threefold on year, that like E-Mart, they have come up with a whole new bunch of alcohol drinks like vodka and Korean traditional drinks. E-Mart says in the first 5 months of 2018 through May, mini can beer sales went up threefold, like I said, and starting early this year, there are a whole new bunch of varieties that went from a dozen last year to more than 80 currently.
For the same cost, you can try several different drinks. It's good for people who can drink a lot. When it comes to snacking and drinking, it's about mood, diversity, and having fun, or just quantity.
In fact, more than 80% of the buyers of these smaller-sized alcohol products are consumers in their 20s and 30s for various reasons, because the products are smaller and therefore cheaper, but also because a growing number of people prefer 혼술, or drinking by themselves comfortably at home. A survey by Nielsen Korea shows South Koreans' alcohol consumption went up 17% on year in 2018, with more than half of the respondents saying they drank at home.
Yes, and 혼술 literally translates into alone alcohol. So more and more Koreans are doing that rather than going out to expensive bars and whatnot. So we've talked about food and drinks, mini-sized versions of those. What else do we have?
Yeah, we talked about food and drinks. So to cook, you need home appliances. So there are a whole new bunch of one-person household designed used for like home appliances. So they account for more than a quarter of all households, those one-person households. So these new home appliances include mini multi-grills, toasters, and even rice cookers. They are smaller, as we can see, and around 20% cheaper.
We have several corners designed for one-person households' home appliances as demand grows. We came up with our own brand for these goods too, including a fridge which was released earlier this month, and we plan to start selling more of these smaller home appliances.
Changing household structure and the economic slowdown resulting in demand for more cost-effective, smaller-sized goods. At the same time, more people are also emphasizing value and health. Consumers want healthier, fresh food that they can eat right away instead of keeping huge amounts in the fridge or wasting it.
Yes, that's very true in this day and age. So you can fill your home full of mini food, mini alcohol, and mini home appliances as well. Haesung, thank you very much for coming in and sharing your report with us today.
My pleasure, Mark.
Good morning. Expect to see a rise in temperatures today. A sunny and hot afternoon is in the forecast, while eastern parts of the country, including Donghae in Gangwon-do province, will have another breezy day today. And the weather elsewhere will feel more like early July with highs in the mid to upper 20s this afternoon. Meanwhile, inland regions in Jeollado and Gyeongsang-Namdo provinces could see passing showers of 5 to 20 millimeters today. Temperatures will continue to stay on the warm side with lots of sunshine, but as temperatures rise, so does the risk of foodborne illnesses. Korea saw this year's first patient with a Vibrio infection a week ago. Vibrio is a foodborne infection usually associated with eating undercooked seafood or raw shellfish. Now, here are some things to bear in mind to help prevent Vibrio infections. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
Well, that's all the news and weather we have for now on this Wednesday morning here in Seoul. Stay tuned to Arirang TV. Our next newscast is at noon Korea time. So until then, goodbye.
천년 전부터 오지치라고 자개를 같이 한 게 나중식인데 자개의 빛이 사람이 다르듯이 모든 빛이 색이 달라요. 보는 각도에 따라서 다 다르게 보이고 또 조명에 따라서 어떨 때는 마음이 기쁘면 참 아름답게 보이고 슬플 때는 또 외롭게 보이는 그 마음의 성때에 따라서도 다르게 보여서 그렇게 수없이 변화하는 거. 눈으로는 표현이 되는데 말로는 표현이 안 돼요.